Tonight, as you close your eyes and let your thoughts drift away, imagine a quiet night stretching endlessly above you. The room is still. The air is soft and warm. Somewhere in the distance, you can hear the faint sound of wind brushing through unseen fields. It feels like time itself is slowing down, like the world is gently asking you to rest. You breathe in, slow and deep. You feel your body sink into the bed. Every breath becomes a wave, rolling calmly in and out, carrying away the noise of the day. There is nothing you need to do now. No sound to follow, no task to complete. Just a calm rhythm of your own breathing. In the silence of this moment, imagine the night sky above you, wide and peaceful, scattered with faint stars. They shimmer softly, like tiny memories of long ago. Somewhere among those stars lies the story of the first civilization, a time when the world was young, and human hearts were just beginning to dream of home, of fire, of light. Let the darkness become a gentle path. Step softly into it. Feel the cool air on your skin, like the breath of history moving past you. You are walking into a world that existed thousands of years before you, yet somehow it feels familiar. The air smells of earth and quiet rain. The sky above is silver with starlight. Far away, the sound of a river flows, calm, slow, alive. It is the night before time began to count, before walls and roads and maps. The world feels endless, full of open spaces and soft voices. Somewhere, a flame flickers in the darkness, lighting the faces of people who once looked at the same stars you see now. Their eyes are calm, full of wonder, watching the sky, whispering to the gods of water, wind, and fire. You can almost hear them. The hum of their songs, slow and deep, the crackle of firewood, the steady rhythm of their hearts. Life is simple, peaceful. Every sound has meaning. Every light has warmth. Every night feels sacred. As you move closer, you can see a small village resting near the curve of a great river. The moonlight touches the roofs made of clay and reeds. Smoke curls from small fires. The people sleep under the same stars, wrapped in soft silence. Around them, the world breathes, rivers gliding, wind sighing through tall grass, the earth resting under the night. The first civilization is not loud or busy. It is gentle, like a cradle of time itself. Every breath of wind carries the scent of life beginning. You can almost taste the damp soil, the freshness of water, the whisper of growing plants. In this place, everything is slow. The day fades into night, and night fades into dreams. You feel safe here. You are not a visitor. You are part of this world. Your heartbeat joins the rhythm of the earth, slow and calm. The stars above feel close enough to touch, glowing softly as if they are watching over you. As you listen to the silence, you can sense the beginning of everything, the first spark of knowledge, the first sound of music, the first warmth of a home. These moments live quietly beneath your eyelids, between each breath. Let yourself drift deeper into this ancient calm. The night stretches wide and still, and the river whispers its endless song. The world is at peace. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Far away in the soft distance of time, two great rivers move slowly through the quiet earth. Their waters shimmer beneath the pale morning light, gliding toward one another like old friends returning home. You can almost hear them breathe, one from the mountains, carrying cool memories of snow, the other from deep valleys, warm and wide, singing softly to the fields it touches. The air is calm, filled with the scent of wet soil and reeds. Birds drift above the surface, wings brushing the mist. The rivers draw closer, their paths twisting gently until they meet, not with noise or force, but with peace. Where they touch, the water becomes still for a moment, as if the world itself pauses to watch. Then slowly, gracefully, they join, becoming one. Here, life begins. The land between these two rivers becomes a cradle, holding the first dreams of humanity. The soil is dark and rich, kissed by floods that come and go with gentle rhythm. Each season, the waters rise and fall, leaving behind the promise of growth. Small green shoots push through the mud. The first farmers kneel to plant seeds, their hands steady, their hearts full of hope. Imagine the sound of the river at dusk, slow ripples against the shore, the quiet hum of insects, the distant call of a heron gliding low. The world feels balanced. Every drop of water seems to know its purpose. It feeds the roots of young plants, cools the stones, and carries whispers of distant lands. The Tigris flows swift and silver, full of energy, carving its path through narrow plains. The Euphrates moves wider and deeper, carrying calm and warmth. Together, they shape the land, one with speed, one with patience. Between them lies a world of gentle abundance, where the soil listens, where the earth remembers. People settle here, drawn by the kindness of the land. They build small homes near the edges of the water, where they can hear the soft rush each night. The sound becomes part of their dreams, a lullaby made of flowing time. They learn to guide the rivers, building simple channels to water their fields. The rivers give more than food, they give rhythm. Morning begins with a sparkle of light on water, and night ends with a hush of waves against clay walls. The rivers do not hurry. They carry stories, pieces of mountain stone, grains of sand, leaves from faraway forests. Every journey they make tells a connection. They touch everything and everyone. They are the veins of the early world. As the sun sets over the land, the joined waters turn gold. The light dances across ripples, and the whole valley glows like a dream. You can almost feel the warmth on your skin, the scent of life rising with the breeze. The people rest nearby, listening to the rivers whisper secrets of the stars. This is where civilization will bloom, where gentle waters will teach the meaning of time, where patience will shape stone into cities. But for now, there's only calm. The earth breathes softly. The rivers hum their endless song, flowing side by side beneath the sleeping sky. Let that sound carry you, the soft merging of two rivers, the cradle of life itself, until your thoughts move like water, slow and peaceful, finding their own quiet place to rest. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Between the two wide rivers lies a quiet stretch of land, glowing softly beneath the morning sun. The air feels warm but gentle, filled with the scent of wet earth and distant rain. This is a land between rivers, Mesopotamia, a peaceful valley where the world began to learn how to live. From above, it looks like a great green ribbon woven through shades of gold and brown. The rivers curve like arms around it, protecting and feeding it. Each season brings a different rhythm, soft and steady, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. When the waters rise, the land drinks deeply. When they fall, the soil breathes again, rich and ready for life to grow. Imagine walking barefoot through a quiet field at dawn. The soil is cool beneath your feet. A thin mist hangs over the crops, catching the early light. You hear the soft rustle of plants moving in the breeze, the distant cry of a bird circling above. This land is alive in every direction, not loud, not hurried, just calmly awake. The people who live here understand its rhythm. They rise with the first light, their bodies moving slowly, like the river itself. They guide their water channels with care, letting the flow reach every plant. Wheat and barley sway like waves in the wind. Date palms stretch tall beside the banks. Life depends on balance, the quiet partnership between the earth, the river, and the human hand. As the day warms, you can picture families sitting beneath the shade of small trees. Children play near the water, tracing lines in the mud. Farmers rest and share food. Bread made from their own harvest, fruit cooled by the river's touch. Everything they need comes from the land. Nothing feels wasted. Every moment follows the same gentle circle, planting, waiting, growing, resting. When the sun begins to fade, a golden light settles over the valley. The air cools, and the scent of clay and grain drifts through the breeze. Smoke rises softly from small fires, curling into the darkening sky. Somewhere, a flute begins to play, a slow melody, almost blending with the hum of insects and the whisper of the river. At night, the land glows faintly under the stars. Oil lamps flicker behind clay walls. The people sleep in peace, their hearts in tune with the rhythm of the seasons. The river murmurs outside, promising that it will return again with new life. Hey, in this calm valley, humanity learns patience. The farmers watch the moon to know when to plant. They feel the wind to sense when the rains will come. Nature speaks to them in signs, a bird's flight, a cloud's color, the scent of soil after rain. Everything is connected, everything alive, everything quietly working together. This land between rivers is more than earth and water. It is a promise that peace comes from harmony, not control. That growth begins when we listen, And as the rivers flow endlessly toward the horizon, they carry that same promise through time, through history, through dreams. Close your eyes now and imagine that slow current moving under the moonlight. Hear it pass through fields, through reeds, through the silence of night. Feel the calm that once filled the hearts of the first farmers, steady, patient, at one with the earth. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. When the morning sun touched the soft ground for the first time, people began to notice how life answered to their hands. They saw that when a grain fell into wet soil, it disappeared for a while, and then, after the rains, it returned, taller, greener, full of life. It must have felt like magic then, a quiet kind of miracle whispered from the earth itself. The people learned to stay close to the land, to feel its moods and changes. They watched how the river left behind smooth, dark soil when the floods passed. They pressed seeds gently into that soil, covering them with care, and waited. For days, nothing happened. The air was warm, the wind light. Then one morning, they saw a hint of green, small blades, soft as breath, reaching upward toward the sun. The first farmers must have felt wonder and peace as they watched their fields come alive. Each sunrise showed something new, fresh leaves, taller stems, the slow rhythm of growth that matched the beating of their hearts. They learned patience. They learned trust. The earth would give back what they had given, and sometimes more. Before farming, people moved from place to place, following food and weather. But now, they could stay. The soil held them like a home. They built small shelters near their crops, where they could watch over the young plants and feel safe knowing food was growing quietly beneath their feet. The rhythm of life began to change. Days followed the sun, not the hunt. Work was gentle, planting, watering, waiting. Families stayed together longer. Children grew up watching green waves move through the fields. Nights became calmer, filled with the scent of wet soil and the songs of night birds. The farmers started to understand time in new ways. The moon told them when to sow. The stars showed when to harvest. Seasons turned like pages in a story they were learning to read. Spring was hope, summer was reward, autumn was gratitude, and winter was rest. Farming was not just survival. It was a beginning of connection. The people spoke softly to the plants, to the rain, to the sky. They learned respect for balance, that too much water could harm, that too much sun could burn, that everything alive needed care. With each harvest, they discovered the quiet joy of enough. Enough food to share, enough time to rest, enough peace to look at the stars and dream. The world no longer felt wild and uncertain. It felt kind, familiar, and full of promise. At dusk, the farmers would sit together, watching the last light fall across their fields. The air shimmered with golden dust. The earth smelled warm and alive. Somewhere nearby, a child laughed as she picked a handful of grain, holding it up to catch the fading sun. And in that moment, humanity took its first steady breath, rooted in place, living with the land instead of against it. The soil became their teacher. The rivers became their guides. The seed became their quiet faith in tomorrow. Now, as the night draws close again, picture those soft green fields swaying beneath a pale sky. Hear the whisper of wind across the crops, the gentle heartbeat of the earth. Feel how calm, how sure, how peaceful it all is. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The sun rises gently over the river valley, and the light falls on quiet hands shaping the earth. The people have learned that clay, when mixed with straw and left in the warmth, becomes strong enough to build with. The first homes are born not from stone or wood, but from the same ground they walk upon. The walls are soft at first, damp and cool to the touch, pressed into simple shapes and left to rest beneath the morning sun. You can almost feel the peace in that moment, a village slowly appearing from the soil itself. Rows of small homes rise one by one, their colors blending with the sand and sky. The air smells of fresh clay and river wind. Children carry handfuls of straw. Women smooth the corners of each wall, their palms leaving gentle patterns. The sound of laughter and quiet work fills the morning air. As the day warms, the bricks dry beneath the sunlight, turning from deep brown to golden. When they are ready, they are stacked carefully, layer by layer. The homes stand low and wide, keeping the cool air inside. Small windows let in rays of light that shift across the floor like moving water. Each home feels calm, simple, and safe, a place where stories can rest, where the heart can be still. At dawn, smoke rises from new hearths. The scent of firewood drifts through the village, soft and comforting. The people wake slowly, stretching in the light, listening to the hum of morning. You can hear the faint rhythm of a pestle grinding grain, the crackle of fire, the distant sound of a river moving nearby. It is a world built from patience and peace. The walls of these clay homes hold the warmth of the sun through the night. The roofs are flat, and families climb them to watch the stars. Up there, the air is cool, the view endless. The sky feels close enough to touch. Sometimes they sleep beneath it, wrapped in quiet dreams, the sound of crickets whispering below. In the evenings, the village glows like a field of embers. Lamps made from shells or clay bowls burn softly inside each home. Their golden light spills through the doorways, flickering across the paths between houses. Children chase the shadows. The river hums quietly beyond the fields. The homes become more than shelter, they are memory. Each wall carries a mark of a hand, the print of a thumb pressed into wet clay. When the rain falls, the scent of earth fills the air again, reminding the people that their homes are alive, part of the same world that feeds and holds them. Families gather close as the night deepens. They share food, tell small stories, and listen to the wind slide over the roofs. The soft light of the fire moves across their faces. The world outside is dark, but inside, everything glows with calm. These are the first villages, quiet, warm, and full of breath. From a distance, they look like part of the land, rising gently from the ground, returning to it in time. Life here moves slowly, following the same rhythm as the rivers and the stars. Close your eyes and imagine the feeling of those clay walls around you, cool, still, and safe. The firelight flickers softly, the air hums with peace. The village sleeps beneath a silver sky, and the earth itself seems to breathe. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. When the sun slipped below the horizon and darkness spread across the valley, the first people gathered close around a small, flickering fire. The world beyond the circle of light was wide and silent, but inside it, warmth wrapped around them like a soft blanket. The flames danced and whispered, their glow turning the clay walls golden and the faces around them gentle and still. This was the heart of every home, the hearth where light lived when the sun went away. The fire breathed slowly, like a living thing. It cracked inside, sparks rising toward the stars. Its warmth touched the skin, eased tired muscles, and quieted the mind. In that glow, people began to speak softly, to share thoughts that would have stayed hidden in the dark. The fire became the first storyteller. It moved like water, it sang like wind. Its light made shapes on the walls, long shadows that danced and changed. The people began to see stories in those shapes, a hunter chasing an animal, a bird flying into the sky, a spirit walking through the flames. The imagination woke, stretching its wings for the first time. Science tells us that fire changed the human mind. It gave warmth to the body, but also light to the brain. Around it, people felt safe enough to rest, to think, to dream. The night was no longer something to fear. It became a time to wonder. The eyes could close, and the thoughts could wander through the flames, into places unseen. Each family's fire was slightly different. Some burned bright and fast, others low and steady, glowing like the last light of the sunset. The smoke drifted upward, carrying the scent of wood and stories into the sky. Above, the stars shimmered, tiny fires of their own, scattered across the black. The people looked up and saw a reflection of their own hearth in the heavens. The earth's fire and the sky's fire spoke to each other, quiet and endless. Children sat close, their eyes wide and glowing in the light. Elders spoke slowly, their voices low and rhythmic. They told stories of how the world began, how the rivers learned to flow, how the stars were born from sparks of an ancient flame. The young listened not just with their ears, but with their hearts. The warmth made them sleepy, the rhythm of a voice guiding them toward dreams. As the night deepened, the fires grew smaller. The glow softened, painting everything in gentle orange. The air cooled, the insects quieted. A few embers still glowed, pulsing faintly like the last beats of a heart before sleep. The people rested near their hearths, comforted by the soft hiss of the coals. Their minds, calm and full of wonder, began to drift. They dreamed of the stars above, of the same fire burning far away, keeping the sky warm through the night. The fire was more than heat. It was a promise that light could always return after darkness, that warmth could live even in the coldest night. It gave the first people more than safety. It gave them thought, memory, and hope. Now, as you breathe softly in the quiet of your own night, imagine that same ancient glow beside you. Hear the crackle, see the small sparks rise. Feel the warmth touch your face, gentle and kind. Outside, the stars still burn, just as they did then. Far away, yet close enough to guide your dreams. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. In the calm silence of the ancient nights, people began to notice that the sky moved in patterns. The moon changed shape, growing full and round, then fading to a thin silver line before vanishing completely. The stars shifted slowly, returning to the same places after many sunsets. The first people did not know the word calendar, but they felt the rhythm of time written above them, a soft, glowing clock made of light. Each evening, they watched the heavens with quiet curiosity. Around their fires, they would lift their eyes to the dark sky and whisper to one another about the moon's gentle moods. When it was full, the world was bright enough to walk without fear. When it disappeared, the nights were deep and still, like sleep itself. They began to understand that the moon spoke in cycles, each one beginning and ending in harmony with life on earth. Farmers used the moon to know when to plant and when to rest. They noticed that seeds grew better when placed in the soil after a certain moonrise. They marked the passage of time by carving small lines on clay or arranging stones in circles that matched the phases of light. It was simple, peaceful knowledge, born not from clocks or numbers, but from watching and feeling. The stars, too, became gentle guides. They rose and fell in the same places each season, whispering to the people when rains would come or when the rivers would swell. One bright star appeared before dawn in the summer sky, and they called it a sign of the flood retaining. Another marked the start of the harvest. The heavens were a map, and each point of light carried meaning, a reminder that the universe itself moved with care and rhythm. As the nights passed, the people began to give these patterns names. They made soft drawings on clay tablets, the shapes of moons and stars arranged like stories. Some even built small towers to watch the skies more closely. From these quiet acts of observation came something new, memory. The world no longer slipped away unseen. It was measured, marked, and remembered. Science tells us that this was how time was first born, not as a set of numbers, but as a feeling, a pulse that flowed through the earth, the sky, and the human heart. Each sunrise and moonrise became part of a great circle, endless and comforting. The first calendars were not tools for work. They were songs of the universe, slow and steady, teaching patience and trust. At night, the people would lie on their rooftops, the cool clay beneath them, the stars above. They would point at constellations and tell their children stories about how those lights were placed there, by gods, by spirits, or by dreams. The sky became a teacher, showing that time was not to be chased, but to be followed gently like a path through a field. The moon glows now as it did then. It moves through its quiet dance above your head, the same rhythm that guided the first minds toward wonder. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine lying there too, the night air cool, the stars endless, the moonlight painting the river silver. Time flows softly, like water, steady and kind. The world turns, the light returns, and all things move in their gentle circle once more. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The night stretches wide and endless, a dark ocean filled with silver lights. Long ago, when the air was clean and the world was quiet, the first eyes looked upward and saw what we still see now, the slow shimmer of stars scattered like dust across eternity. There were no lamps, no cities, no noise to hide their glow, only silence, the breath of wind, and the soft sound of the earth turning beneath bare feet. The first astronomers were not scientists as we think of them today. They were dreamers who listened to the sky. They watched the stars with the same gentle wonder a child feels when seeing rain for the first time. Each night, they would sit on rooftops or open fields, wrapped in the calm of darkness. Above them, constellations drifted like glowing stories, changing little by little with each passing season. They noticed how certain stars rose at the same time every year, marking when the floods would come, when the crops would grow, and when it was time to rest. The heavens became their calendar, their compass, their quiet teacher. They began to trace invisible lines between the lights, creating shapes of gods, animals, and spirits that seemed to guard them from above. The sky became a living map, not of roads or borders, but of meaning. Imagine the air on one of those nights. Cool and clear, the faint smell of firewood still in the air. The river glides nearby, catching reflections of the moon. A man lifts his face to the stars and points, showing his child how one small light always returns to the same corner of the sky. They give it a name. They will pass that name to their children, and those children to theirs, until it becomes part of the world's memory. Science would later learn the distances, the heat, the motion of those stars, but for these first watchers, it was enough to simply see. They did not need to measure the light to feel its peace. Each star was a promise, steady and unbroken. The night sky became a gentle reminder that even when everything changes on Earth, the heavens remain patient, moving in their own perfect rhythm. Sometimes clouds drifted across the darkness, hiding the stars for a while. But the people learned not to worry. They knew the lights would return, just as the sun always rose. From this trust grew something deeper, a sense that the universe itself was kind, and that every flicker of light carried a quiet message of hope. The first astronomers did not rush their discoveries. They sat for hours in stillness, tracing the slow turning of the heavens, feeling time move not in minutes or hours, but in stars. Their minds began to wander beyond the fields and rivers they knew. They began to dream of what lay beyond the sky, beyond everything. The same stars they watched still shine tonight. The same patterns, the same slow drift of light across the horizon. When you look up at them now, you are seeing what they once saw, the reflection of eternity in 1,000 small lights. Breathe slowly and picture yourself lying on the soft earth beside them. Feel the cool wind, the calm night, the quiet hum of the world beneath you. Above, the stars shimmer, patient and eternal. They wait for no one, yet they shine for everyone. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Morning comes softly over the valley, and the sound of life begins to stay. The first light spreads across quiet fields, touching blades of grass wet with dew. In the distance, you can hear the low, slow call of an ox, deep and steady like the earth itself speaking. A soft breeze moves through the reeds, carrying the gentle clinking of bells tied around the necks of goats. The world is calm, full of breath and motion, yet peaceful in every sound. The first farmers did not live apart from their animals. They lived beside them. The oxen helped pull the wooden plows through the soil, their hooves pressing deep into the wet ground. Their strength turned the land into gardens. But they were not just tools, they were companions. After the day's work, the oxen rested near the rivers, their bodies large and warm, steam rising faintly from their backs in the cool evening air. Sheep grazed in the open hills, quiet and unhurried. Their soft wool shimmered in the light, moving like small clouds across the fields. The people learned to spin that wool into thread, weaving blankets that held warmth through the long nights. They listened to the soft bleating of lambs and the sound of hooves against the earth, a lullaby that reminded them they were never alone. Goats were clever and curious, always climbing, exploring, finding leaves in high places where no one else could reach. Their milk became part of the people's food, sweet and simple. They were full of spirit, yet gentle in their eyes. Each animal had its own rhythm, its own quiet way of being part of life. In the calm of early morning, you could walk through one of those ancient villages and hear the song of the farm, the slow breath of oxen, the murmur of sheep, the light tapping of goat hooves on stone. Smoke would rise from cooking fires, and children would laugh as they fed handfuls of grass to the smallest animals. The sound of contentment filled the air. Kindness was the center of this world. The people learned that when they cared for the animals cared for them in return. The oxen gave their strength, the sheep their wool, the goats their milk. It was a quiet partnership, no words, only understanding. The farmers spoke softly to them, their voices calm and low, knowing that gentle tones made the creatures feel safe. The bond between them was more than survival. It was trust. The people began to see the rhythm of nature not as something to control, but something to share. Every life, large or small, had a purpose. Every sound, the snort of an ox, the rustle of wool, the clatter of hooves, was part of the same peaceful music that guided the seasons. As the day faded, the animals returned to their shelters. The air cooled, The sky turned golden, and the sound of the fields softened to silence. Farmers sat near their homes, watching their herds rest. The river shimmered nearby, and the faint echo of a bell drifted through the dusk. It was a sound of calm, of connection, of a world at peace with itself. Close your eyes and picture that quiet farm at sunset, the soft hum of life, the scent of warm earth, the glow of light on fur and wool. Feel the same gentle trust that once filled those fields long ago. Every creature breathing together, every heart moving at the same slow pace. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The sun rises slowly over the soft horizon, and the rivers begin to wake. Their calm waters slide over stones and reeds, whispering softly as they move. In the early days of farming, people watched how water shaped the earth, how it found every path, how it nourished everything it touched. They learned to guide it, not by force, but with patience, the same way the wind shapes sand or time shapes stone. They dug small channels with their hands and wooden tools, letting the river's edge flow gently into the fields. The water spread out like silk, gliding over the soil, sinking into the roots of young plants. The channels curved and twisted, following the land's natural rhythm. Nothing rushed, nothing struggled. The people knew that water moved best when it was allowed to move freely. In the stillness of morning, you could hear the soft gurgle of those channels, like the slow breathing of the earth itself. It was a steady sound, peaceful, continuous, alive. The farmers listened to it as they worked, their feet cool in the wet soil. They moved slowly, letting their thoughts drift with the current. Every drop carried life, and every ripple carried gratitude. When the sun grew warm, the water sparkled like glass, catching the light in waves. The people would pause to watch it flow, mesmerized by its calm persistence. They understood that water was not just a tool but a spirit, gentle, giving, eternal. It asked for nothing, yet it gave everything. Without it, the land would sleep. With it, the world awoke in color. As the seasons passed, the farmers built wider canals and reservoirs to store the river's gift. They learned the language of water, when to open the channels, when to let them rest, how to listen for its quiet side when the flow was right. They built small gates of stone and wood, not to control the river, but to speak to it, to guide it kindly. It was a partnership between earth and human hands, one built on care, balance, and trust. In the evenings, as the sky turned gold, the fields shimmered with reflection. The water carried the color of the sun, the image of clouds, and the soft scent of growing grain. The sound of it moving through the channels became part of the day's ending, a gentle rhythm that matched the farmer's breathing. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine it, that sound of slow water winding through the soil. Each drop finding its place, each stream tracing a path with purpose. It is like your own breath, calm, even, unhurried, in and out, flowing and returning, the same motion that keeps life alive in every corner of the world. The rivers gave more than crops, they gave time. They taught patience. They showed that all living things grow best when nurtured gently. From the tiniest seed to the mightiest tree, everything depends on the quiet touch of water. At night, when the channels rested and the moon reflected on their surfaces, the world felt still, as if the earth were breathing in sleep. The stars mirrored in the slow-moving streams, and the farmers sat nearby, listening. It was a peaceful music, older than any song, the sound of water and life moving together in perfect calm. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. In the beginning, the villages were small, clusters of homes made of clay and straw, resting quietly by the rivers. But as seasons passed and harvests grew, the people began to gather in greater numbers. Each year brought more families, more voices, more fires glowing in the night. The land between rivers began to hum with gentle life, and slowly, softly, the first cities were born. The change was not sudden. It was like dawn, spreading light little by little. Paths between homes became roads. Small gardens turned into marketplaces. Farmers arrived with baskets of grain, traders with clay pots and woven cloth, shepherds with soft wool from distant hills. The air filled with the sounds of greetings, of soft bargaining, of laughter carried on the wind. Yet even with this new movement, there was calm. The rhythm of life was steady, like the quiet beating of many hearts in harmony. The first cities were built from the same earth as the villages before them. sun-baked bricks pressed by hand. But now the walls rose higher. Streets curved like small rivers, guiding footsteps through open courtyards and shaded alleys. Each corner held the scent of clay, of fire, of food being cooked slowly through the day. The people lived close to one another, their lives woven together like threads in a cloth. Trade became the city's breath. Boats glided down the rivers carrying goods from faraway lands, copper from the mountains, shells from the sea, wood from distant forests. In return, the city sent out grain, cloth, and art made by quiet hands. The people learned to measure weight, to mark symbols for trade, to trust the value of things. The sound of barter mixed with the rhythm of footsteps and the rustle of fabric. In the evenings, when the sun melted into the horizon, the city changed. The heat faded, and soft air flowed through the narrow streets. Oil lamps were lit one by one, their flames small but steady. The light shimmered on the walls, glowing like tiny stars fallen to earth. From above, the city looked like a cluster of embers scattered across the dark, a living constellation resting on the land. Families gathered in courtyards to share food. The meals were simple: bread, olives, dates, warm milk. The scent of baked grain drifted through the air. You could hear quiet talk, gentle laughter, the faint sound of a harp or flute played in the distance. There was peace in these moments, a sense of belonging that came not from walls, but from warmth shared between people. Children played by the doorways, chasing shadows that danced in the lamplight. Their voices echoed softly through the streets, fading as night deepened. Dogs barked lazily, guards walked the walls, and the steady hum of life continued even as the stars rose high. The city did not sleep all at once. It drifted, slowly, into silence. High above, from the rooftops, the view was endless. The rivers glowed faintly in the moonlight, winding like silver threads through the fields. From here, you could see the heart of human creation: homes, temples, markets, all built from patience and care. It was not a kingdom yet, nor an empire, but something simpler, a dream shared by many hands. Science would later call this the beginning of civilization. But for those who lived it, it was just life, steady, warm, human. They did not think of progress or history. They thought of tomorrow's sunrise, of bread to bake, of friends to greet, of light to kindle at dusk. In the soft hours of night, when the lamps burned low, the city seemed to breathe. The faint glow flickered across the quiet streets. The air smelled of oil and clay and rest. A few late voices murmured, then faded into stillness. The world was calm again. Close your eyes now and imagine those golden lights glowing in the dark, thousands of tiny flames, each one keeping someone safe, each one holding a story, each one burning softly through the night. Feel that peace, the same peace that once drifted through the first cities, when the world was young and full of quiet wonder. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. When the cities began to grow, the people looked toward the heavens. They had built homes, streets, and gardens on the earth, but something inside them longed to reach higher, toward the quiet sky that had watched over them since the beginning. And so, slowly, with hands patient and hearts full of reverence, they began to build the first great temples. They rose step by step, wide at the base, narrowing as they climbed. Ziggurats, the mountains of man, built from the same earth they worshipped upon. In the early morning, before the sun broke through the mist, the temple stood shrouded in pale fog. Its bricks glistened with dew, cool and smooth beneath the first touch of light. The air was still, thick with silence and the faint scent of incense drifting upward from small fires. You could hear the distant murmur of priests preparing the altars, their movements slow and deliberate, each step a quiet act of devotion. The ziggurat was not a place of noise or fear, but of peace. People climbed its long steps at dawn, carrying offerings of grain, oil, or flowers. Their feet pressed against the warm bricks, worn smooth by generations of pilgrims. At the top, the view stretched endlessly, over golden fields, winding rivers, and distant rooftops glowing faintly in the rising light. The air there felt different, lighter, touched by the sky. The priests believed this height brought them closer to the gods, to the same forces that stirred the rivers and guided the stars. But even for those who came simply to watch the sunrise, there was a feeling of calm. The climb itself was like a prayer, slow, steady, full of breath and stillness. The higher they went, The quieter the world became, until only the soft hum of wind remained. Inside the temple chambers, the air was cool and dim. Thin smoke curled through shafts of sunlight, painting the space in gold and gray. The walls were decorated with simple carvings, stars, waves, and spirals, symbols of eternity. Oil lamps flickered along the floors, their flames bowing gently in the passing air. The scent of cedar and sweet resin filled the room, warm and comforting. These scribes are not simply writing. They are keeping time, memory, and meaning alive. Each symbol holds a story, of trade, of harvest, of the stars above. When they press their stylus into the clay, they connect the breath of this moment to all the moments before it. The lines they make will harden in the sun, outlasting their own lifetimes. For now, they work in silence. The only rhythm is a gentle tapping of wood against clay, the faint sigh of breath as the students concentrate. Some tilt their tablets to catch the light better, watching their symbols appear like small rivers of shadow and shine. The language they are learning is ancient, yet new to their hands. It is a song of marks, the first whisper of written thought. Outside, the city begins to wake. You can hear distant footsteps, the call of merchants, the soft bleating of goats in the streets. But inside the school, the world feels far away. The students remain wrapped in their calm, tracing meaning one careful line at a time. The teacher recites words in a low tone, his voice blending with the sound of the river beyond the walls. By midday, the room is filled with warm light. The tablets now dry faster, and the scent of clay becomes stronger. The scribes stretch their fingers, tired but content. Their tablets, small, square pieces of earth, lie before them, each carrying tiny stories, records of life that will one day be discovered again. They do not yet know that they are creating history. To them, it is simply a craft, a quiet duty, a way to bring order to the world. But their work will endure longer than the walls around them. Their lines will speak long after their voices have faded. As the day ends, the students stack their tablets carefully along the wall. The last light of the sun touches them, turning them into glowing rows of gold and shadow. The teacher stands at the doorway, looking out at the soft horizon. The air smells of earth and sunlight, of knowledge gently taking root. Close your eyes and picture that calm room, the glow of clay, the hush of focus, the warmth of morning light resting on quiet faces. Feel the peace that comes from slow creation, from gentle thought, from learning that feels like breathing. The same calm still lingers wherever light meets silence, wherever a hand moves softly across a surface, writing something that will last. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Long before the sound of written words, people told their stories by firelight. In the soft glow of the hearth, beneath the open stars, they whispered of gods who shaped the world from silence. Their voices were low, their words gentle, carried by wind and memory. These were not stories of fear, but of wonder, ways to explain the mysteries that surrounded them, ways to feel that the earth itself was alive and listening. They believed that the rivers were more than water. The Tigris and the Euphrates were two living spirits, flowing like veins through the heart of the world. Each spring, when their floods returned, people said it was the breath of the gods renewing the land. They offered flowers, bread, and wine to the water's edge, speaking softly to the current. When the river shimmered under moonlight, they felt it smile back, calm, endless, patient. They spoke, too, of the sky. They said that it was once joined with the earth, held close in a great embrace. But the wind, a spirit both wild and kind, lifted the sky upward so light could reach the ground. The heavens rose high, painted with stars, tiny eyes watching over the sleeping land. Each night, when people lay under that vast darkness, they felt the same comfort, that someone above was keeping watch. In their stories, the gods were not distant rulers. They were part of everything, the rain that kissed the soil, the fire that warmed the home, the seeds that opened in the dark. There was a god of wisdom who taught humankind how to write, a goddess of love who made the flowers bloom and the hearts of people soften. There was a god of storms who walked with thunder in his hands, and when lightning struck the plains, they said he was reminding the world of his power. Yet even the mightiest gods were spoken of with tenderness. The people saw them as companions, not masters. When crops grew tall, they thanked the goddess of grain. When a child was born, they whispered prayers to the guardian spirits of breath and light. Each story was a thread in the fabric of life, woven with care and trust. Imagine sitting among them, the night cool and still. The stars glimmer above like embers scattered across the dark. The storyteller's voice moves slowly, rising and falling like the rhythm of the river. Each tale feels both real and dreamlike, the earth and sky breathing together, the divine living within every stone and drop of rain. Science would one day explain the movement of stars, the cause of floods, the patterns of wind. But before that knowledge, there was imagination, quiet, beautiful imagination. It was enough to believe that the world was kind because it was alive, that nature was sacred because it gave without asking. These beliefs filled the people with peace. They saw the universe not as chaos, but as balance. Every shadow had light, every ending a new beginning. When dawn came and the fires dimmed, the stories lingered in the air like mist over the river. The listeners returned to their fields and homes, carrying those myths in their hearts. Each sunrise, each ripple of water, each passing cloud reminded them that the gods were near, walking softly through the world they had made. Now, close your eyes and imagine those same stars above you, the same wind brushing your face, the same river murmuring nearby. Feel the calm of those ancient stories, the peace of believing that everything around you, every sound, every breath, carries a spirit of kindness. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The sun hangs low and wide in the sky, pouring its warm light over endless fields of gold. The air hums softly with the sound of life, wind moving through grain, footsteps on dry soil, voices calling gently across the distance. It is a time of harvest, the season when the earth gives back what was once placed in its care. Everything glows in calm abundance. In the early morning, the farmers walk through the shimmering fields, their shadows long and slow. Each stalk bends slightly under the weight of ripened grain. The breeze moves through them in waves, soft as breathing, whispering in a rhythm that seems alive. The people pause to listen, the rustle of wheat, the creak of wooden baskets, the faint laughter that drifts like birdsong. The world feels full, content, and kind. The work is gentle and steady. Hands move with care, gathering each handful of grain as if touching something sacred. Sickles cut through the stalks in smooth, circular motions. The air fills with the scent of dry earth and sunlight. Every sound becomes part of a quiet harmony, the swish of straw, the murmur of water in distant channels, the steady pulse of the wind. Families work side by side, their movements slow and balanced. The older ones teach the younger how to tie the bundles, how to feel the weight of the crop, and know when it is ready. They speak softly, their words blending with the music of the fields. No one rushes. The rhythm is unbroken, calm and sure, like the turning of time itself. By midday, the valley shimmers beneath the heat. The people rest under the shade of trees, sharing food and water. Flatbread, fruit, and cool milk, simple gifts of the land. They eat together, smiling, their faces warm with light and gratitude. The earth has been generous again. The rivers have kept their promise. The seeds have become life. When the sun begins to fall, the fields glow deeper, turning from gold to amber to soft bronze. Children run through the stubble, their laughter rising into the air like songs. Dust lifts and swirls in the fading light, and the wind carries it toward the horizon. The farmers stack their bundles neatly, their bodies tired but their hearts at peace. The day ends with a quiet joy of completion. At dusk, smoke curls upward from distant homes. Fires are lit, and the scent of grain roasting drifts across the fields. The people gather to sing, soft songs of thanks to the earth, to the rivers, to the sky that watched over them. Their voices are low, almost like a prayer, carried by the same breeze that moves through the wheat. Later, as night falls, the fields rest under a blanket of stars. The moon rises slowly, casting silver light over the harvested land. The stubble glows faintly, like the memory of daylight. Somewhere, a flute plays a slow tune, one note, then another, gentle and endless. The earth breathes quietly now. Its work is done for the season, its gifts safely gathered. The people sleep knowing that balance has been kept, that what was taken will be returned. Close your eyes and imagine that field, the sound of wind weaving through dry stalks, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the peace that comes from gratitude. Feel the rhythm of harvest, patient, eternal, and full of calm. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. As the cities grew and life became more connected, the people began to understand something deeper, that peace did not come only from rivers and harvests, but from the way they treated one another. They saw that kindness was as important as sunlight, that fairness was a quiet thread holding their world together. And so, they began to shape laws, not from anger or fear, but from the wish to live in balance. In the heart of the city, beneath a tall stone carved with care, words were pressed into the surface, the first written laws. These were the laws of Hammurabi, the ancient ruler who believed that justice should be clear and visible, so that no one lived in confusion or fear. The stone stood tall under the open sky, where the light touched it each morning. People came to read it, or to listen as a scribe spoke its words aloud. The rules were simple, steady, and full of reason. They spoke of honesty, of fairness in trade, of the duty to protect the weak. They reminded people that their choices touched not only themselves, but the lives around them. If someone broke a promise, they must make it right. If someone took too much, they must give back. It was not about punishment. It was about balance, about restoring peace where it had been disturbed. The idea of justice became like water, flowing quietly through every street and home. People began to understand that they all lived beneath the same sky, shared the same rivers, and depended on one another. A fair word could stop a quarrel. A kind act could heal a wound before it grew deep. The law was not only carved in stone, it was written in the heart. When a dispute arose, elders sat beneath shaded courtyards to listen. Their voices were calm, their eyes patient. They did not rush to judgment. They let both sides speak, allowing truth to rise slowly, like sunlight breaking through clouds. In their silence, there was wisdom, the understanding that fairness must move as gently as water finding its way through the soil. Science might one day call the civilization structure, but in those days it was simply care made visible. The people had learned that order did not mean control, it meant harmony. Just as the rivers needed banks to flow smoothly, so too did human life need guidance. And that guidance came not from fear, but from compassion. Imagine walking through the city at dusk. The lamps are lit, the streets quiet. You see that same great stone still standing, its carvings glowing faintly in the warm light. The air smells of clay and smoke, and a soft wind moves through the alleys. You hear laughter from nearby homes, the calm rhythm of a world that feels safe because everyone knows their place, their duty, their worth. The laws of kindness were more than words. They were a way of seeing others as part of oneself. To harm another was to harm the balance of the whole. To act with gentleness was to strengthen it. Peace was not a gift from the gods, but a choice made by people over and over again. Close your eyes now and imagine that feeling. The steady calm of fairness, the quiet strength of respect. The knowledge that justice is not sharp or cold, but soft, even, and full of care. Like the flow of the river, it moves where it is needed, bringing life and calm wherever it goes. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The river stretches wide and calm beneath the morning sun, its surface smooth as glass. Along its banks, boats wait quietly, long and narrow, carved from wood, their sails catching the soft wind. The merchants move slowly, loading baskets of grain, jars of oil, and rolls of cloth dyed in soft colors. The air is filled with gentle sounds, the creak of wood, the lap of water against the hull, the faint hum of voices speaking in peace. Trade has begun, not as a rush of business, but as a quiet thread connecting one land to another. The rivers are the first roads, carrying dreams and goods together through the heart of the ancient world. Each current brings new stories. Each bend in the river leads to new hands waiting to greet them. The water glitters in the light, carrying the shimmer of shells, stones, and simple treasures from faraway shores. The merchants guide their boats carefully, using poles to steer through the slow-moving current. Sometimes the sails flutter gently, filled with the kindness of the wind. Along the banks, farmers wave as the boats pass, children running to watch them disappear around the bend. The sight of those small vessels brings comfort, a reminder that the world is wider than the fields, yet bound together by the same flowing water. As the journey continues, the river opens into calm lakes and shallow bays. Birds skim across the surface, their reflections flickering like moving stars. At night, the travelers pull their boats ashore and rest beside small fires. The sound of the river remains with them, a soft lullaby that never ends. They share food, stories, and laughter, a meeting of voices from places that once seemed far apart. When dawn comes, mist drifts above the water, pale and smooth like silk. The merchants rise quietly, their faces warmed by the first light. They look at the reflection of the sky in the water, blue on blue, and feel the same peace they left behind in their own villages. The river connects them, carrying not only goods but friendship, knowledge, and trust. On the return journey, their boats are filled with gifts from other lands, shells from distant seas that sparkle in the sunlight, copper gleaming from mountain mines, fragrant oil sealed in clay jars. Each item tells a story of people who live by other waters, under other skies, yet share the same rhythm of life. These objects are small, but they carry meaning, proof that the world is one, held together by movement, by exchange, by quiet understanding. Trade, in those early days, was not about wealth. It was about connection. The merchants knew that every journey was a bridge, between lands, between hearts. They traveled with care, knowing that kindness was worth more than gold, and that a promise kept was a true measure of value. When they arrived home, the people gathered to listen to their tales of wide rivers, open seas, and faces that smiled in languages they did not yet know. At dusk, when all the boats were moored and the market closed, the sound of the river continued, slow and sure. The lamps along the banks flickered, reflecting on the water like tiny suns. The air smelled of grain and salt, of wood and fire. Somewhere, a shell clicked softly in the wind, carried from one shore to another, timeless and light. Close your eyes now and picture that quiet water flowing through the ancient land. Hear the soft splash of oars, the gentle whisper of the wind in the sails. Feel the peace of motion, the endless calm of connection. Like the river, you too are part of something vast and gentle, always moving, always returning home. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The sky above Babylon darkens slowly, turning from gold to silver to soft gray. The air thickens with the scent of dust and water waiting to fall. For a moment, the city holds its breath. The wind quiets. The lamps flicker. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolls, not loud or frightening, but deep and low, like the earth stretching in its sleep. Then, at last, the first drop falls. It lands softly on the roof of a clay house, leaving a single dark circle that grows and fades. Then another, then another. Soon, the city is covered in sound, a gentle, steady rhythm of rain touching everything it meets. The rooftops glisten, the streets darken, and the walls of the ziggurat shimmer beneath the falling sky. It is as if the heavens themselves are breathing over Babylon. The people pause in their work. Some step outside, lifting their faces to the cool air. Others stand under doorways, watching the rain slide down from the edges of roofs, gathering into streams that twist through the streets. The sound is soft and constant, 1,000 tiny notes blending into one long, peaceful song. The rain speaks to the city, whispering over stone, clay, and earth, washing, soothing, renewing. Children laugh and run barefoot through puddles, their reflections rippling in the water. The old sit quietly at their doors, smiling as they watch. Merchants pull cloth over their stalls, but do not seem to mind the pause. The air feels clean, light, alive. Each drop carries a bit of the sky down to the waiting land. High above, the temples gleam under the rain. Streams of water run down their steps, gliding through carvings of gods and stars. The scent of incense still lingers, now mingled with the smell of wet earth. The statues seem to shine under the storm, their faces soft with moisture, their edges blurred by mist. The city looks older and newer all at once, ancient stone reborn under water's touch. The rivers swell gently, their surfaces rippling under the falling sky. The rain does not rush, it moves with calm purpose. It fills the air with a music that feels familiar, the same rhythm that once guided a plow through soil, the same pulse that beats in every living thing. People listen without speaking. It is the sound of balance returning. Inside the homes, lamps glow faintly, their flames bending with the wind. The clay walls hum softly as the rain taps against them, a heartbeat of the storm. The water runs down into jars placed carefully beneath the eaves, filling them one drop at a time. It is a slow gift, the kind that teaches patience and gratitude. As the evening deepens, the rain softens. The thunder drifts farther away, the light fades to a silver-blue dusk. The city breathes again, quieter now. The rooftops drip with the last trails of water, each sound clear and gentle. The streets shine in the dim light, smooth as mirrors. In the puddles, reflections of lamps shimmer like stars fallen to the ground. From a high terrace, you can see all of Babylon, the towers, the courtyards, the quiet homes, glistening under the soft mist. The smell of wet clay fills the air. It is a scent of renewal, of rest. Every surface, every stone, every grain of sand feels touched by peace. The rain has washed away not just dust, but the weight of long days, leaving only calm behind. As night arrives, the clouds thin, revealing small patches of starlight. Drops cling to leaves and ropes and window edges, catching the glow of the moon. The city seems to shimmer, suspended between earth and sky, half asleep, half dreaming. The rain has ended, but its song remains, a quiet rhythm echoing in the heart. Close your eyes and listen for that sound, soft, endless, and kind. The rain falling over old rooftops, over warm stone, over the breath of the sleeping city. Feel its calm washing through you too, steady and slow, like peace finding its way home. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. When the day faded and the fields grew quiet, a new kind of sound began to fill the air. It was not the wind or the water this time, but something made by human hands, soft and trembling at first, then steady and sure. The first music was born in the calm of night, rising like a whisper beneath the stars. The earliest instruments were simple, shaped from the world itself. Hollow reeds cut from the riverbanks became flutes. Animal skins stretched over round wooden frames became drums. Strings made from twisted fibers were pulled across curved pieces of wood, turning into harps that shimmered under lamplight. The people did not build them for noise or for celebration. They built them for comfort, to soothe, to remember, to fill silence with gentleness. The sound of a flute drifted through the evening air, light as the breath that made it. Its song moved like the wind, winding between the clay homes and the palm trees, carrying calm to whoever listened. A few notes would rise, pause, and fall again, as if the night itself were breathing. The harp followed softly, its strings glowing golden in the firelight, each tone falling like a drop of water. The drum came last, slow, steady, the rhythm of a heartbeat keeping time for stars. Music was part of every gathering. After long days of work, families sat beneath open skies, their bodies tired but their hearts at peace. Someone would pick up a flute, another a drum, and together they played, not in harmony as we know it, but in feeling. Each sound answered the other, weaving through the quiet air like threads of light. The children swayed, their eyes heavy with sleep, the music wrapping around them like warmth. Even the rivers seemed to join. The gentle splash of water against stone, the chirping of night insects, the sigh of wind through reeds, all became part of the same song. The world listened, and in return it sang back. There were songs for planting, songs for harvest, songs for rain and for rest. But the ones that lingered longest were the songs of night, slow melodies that spoke without words, that made even the stars seem closer. The music was never hurried. It flowed the way dreams do, smooth, drifting, full of space to breathe. Science tells us that rhythm came from the pulse of the heart, that melody grew from the echo of voices calling across fields. But long before such knowledge, the people simply played because it felt natural. It was a language of peace. Through music, they spoke to the earth, to the rivers, to one another. It told them that they were not alone, that their hearts beat in the same quiet rhythm as the world around them. Imagine sitting there under the soft glow of firelight. The stars shimmer above, and the flute's voice drifts through the night air. A harp hums like a river beneath it, and the drum beats low, calm, endless. The people close their eyes, letting the sound carry them somewhere between waking and dreaming. The city sleeps, but the song continues, moving through streets and over rooftops, a lullaby for all who live within its walls. Close your eyes now and listen for it, the echo of the first music, faint but eternal, still traveling through time. The rhythm of life, soft and endless, still playing quietly in your chest. The same notes, the same peace, the same calm that once drifted through the first world. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. In the quiet corners of the first cities, love was written in clay. Long before paper, before ink, before the letters we know today, people pressed their feelings into soft earth with small wooden tools. The words were slow, careful, and full of heart. When the clay dried under the sun, those words became eternal, love preserved in stone, gentle and unbroken across thousands of years. These were not grand declarations or complex verses. They were simple and honest, shaped by hands that trembled slightly as they wrote. A man might carve, "You are the one my heart has chosen." A woman might write, "Your voice is my comfort." The messages were soft, full of warmth and quiet hope. Even in a world of rivers and temples, it was love that gave life its meaning. In small rooms lit by oil lamps, young scribes practiced their symbols on tablets, and sometimes, between lines of trade and law, they added secret words, names, hearts, little signs of affection. The clay carried everything: joy, longing, devotion. Some letters were sent with gifts: a lock of hair, a piece of woven cloth, a small jar of scented oil. Each one was a promise that love could live beyond distance. At night, lovers would meet by the riverbanks, their reflections rippling in the dark water. The air was warm, full of the scent of flowers and wet earth. They spoke softly, not in poetry, but in pauses, in looks, in the small space between words. The sound of the river became their witness. The poets of that time sang about love as something both tender and eternal. They compared it to the sunrise over the fields, to the scent of rain on clay, to the warmth of a lamp in the dark. One old verse said, "My heart rests when I hear your footsteps." Another, "You are honey to my mouth, water to my thirst." These were the first songs of the human heart, the same feelings we still carry now, spoken in a different tongue but felt in the same way. Even kings and queens, with their palaces and power, wrote love letters. They sealed them with gentle care, sending them across rivers and deserts. Love, it seemed, belonged to everyone: the farmer, the scribe, the ruler, the dreamer. Beneath the weight of time and duty, love was a soft place where people could rest. Sometimes the tablets were found centuries later, buried in dust, forgotten by the world. When read again, the words still carried warmth. You could almost feel the heartbeat of the one who wrote them, their hand pressing gently into the clay, their breath steady, their thoughts full of someone far away. Science may tell us how language evolved, how writing began, but it cannot measure what those words meant, the courage it took to speak tenderness aloud, the peace that came from being heard. Love was humanity's quiet truth, the one thing that made life feel whole. As night falls again over the ancient city, the lamps flicker, and the river hums in the distance. A woman holds a small tablet in her hands, tracing the marks someone left for her. She smiles softly. Somewhere else, another person does the same, whispering a name into the dark. Close your eyes now and feel that same warmth, the stillness of love written in simple words, lasting beyond time. The same feeling that once moved hands across clay still moves within your own heart tonight. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The desert stretches wide and endless, a sea of soft gold under the morning sun. The wind moves gently across the dunes, shaping them into smooth waves that shimmer with light. Far in the distance, a caravan begins its slow journey, a line of travelers and camels moving in silence, their footsteps pressing faint marks into the sand. The air hums with warmth, yet there is peace in every sound, in every movement. The camels walk with patient grace, their long necks swaying like tall reeds in a breeze. Bells tied around their saddles ring softly, creating a rhythm that matches the steady crunch of hooves on sand. Each sound is calm, familiar, and comforting, the music of travel, the heartbeat of the desert. The traders speak little. Their voices, when they do, are low and measured, blending with the sigh of wind and the rustle of cloth. The journey is slow, but no one hurries. The desert demands respect, and the travelers have learned its language. They read the color of the sand to find hidden paths. They listen to the wind to know when it will change. The air smells faintly of salt and sun, and the horizon dances with heat. Yet even here, in this vast emptiness, there is beauty, the soft glimmer of quartz in the dunes, the shadows that stretch and bend like drifting clouds. By midday, the sun hangs high, glowing white against a sky without end. The travelers rest beneath their tents, the cloth fluttering gently in the warm breeze. Water is poured carefully, each drop shining like a jewel as it falls into a clay bowl. The camels kneel in the sand, their eyes half closed, their breath slow and even. The air is still, filled only with a faint whisper of grain shifting under the wind. When the heat begins to fade, the caravan moves again. The light softens, turning gold, then amber, then rose. Shadows grow long across the dunes, and the first cool breath of evening sweeps over the land. The travelers feel it on their faces, a relief, a blessing. The desert changes its voice, softer now, gentler. The bells sound sweeter in the dusk. As night falls, the sky blooms with stars. The darkness is clear and wide, untouched by smoke or cloud. Constellations rise one by one, bright and endless. The travelers lift their eyes to them. Orion, the Pleiades, the long curve of the Milky Way stretching like a pale river above. The stars are not only beautiful, they are guides. Each light has meaning, a direction, a story passed down through generations. The people know them as companions, the silent watchers that lead them safely through the night. The camels walk more easily in the cool air. The sand glows faintly under the starlight, pale and smooth like silk. The world feels weightless, soundless, and kind. You can almost hear the travelers breathing in rhythm with the steps of their animals, each inhale soft, each exhale calm. The fires from the distant cities are far behind them now, but the promise of another rests on the horizon, unseen, yet certain. Sometimes they stop to rest, lighting small fires that flicker like stars falling to the earth. Around them, the desert hums quietly. The flames cast long shadows that sway like ghosts of the wind. They share bread and dried fruit, sipping water in silence. Above them, the sky watches, patient and infinite. In those moments, time feels still, as if the whole world has paused to breathe. Science might one day explain the pull of the stars, the patterns of sand, the way wind moves across an open land. But for these travelers, the desert needs no explanation. It is both path and home, challenge and peace. Its vastness reminds them of their smallness, and in that smallness, they find calm. When dawn finally returns, the horizon glows with faint light. The stars fade, the air warms, and the first bird crosses the sky. The travelers rise again, quiet and ready. Another day begins, another journey across the golden sea. Close your eyes now and imagine the endless desert, the soft sound of bells, the cool wind of night, the peace of knowing where the stars will lead. Feel the stillness of the sand beneath your feet, the calm of slow movement, the comfort of direction. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. In the quiet rooms of the ancient cities, the air often carried a soft fragrance, not from flowers alone, but from oils and herbs prepared with care and patience. The people believed that scent could soothe the body and calm the spirit. It was not magic, though it felt like it. It was simply the earth sharing its gentle medicine with those who listened closely enough to learn. At dawn, healers and perfumers would walk through gardens still heavy with dew. The leaves glistened, the air cool and sweet. They gathered small bundles of lavender, myrrh, and mint, pressing the herbs gently between their fingers to release their aroma. They knew each plant by its scent and by the feeling it left behind. Some warmed the heart, others quieted the mind. Every fragrance had a purpose, every oil a kind of peace. The oils were made slowly, by sunlight and patience. Clay jars were filled with crushed petals and golden liquid drawn from olives or sesame. Over days, the scent deepened until it seemed to carry light within it. The healers would pour a few drops onto their palms and rub them together, letting the warmth bring the fragrance to life. The room would fill with calm, a soft mist of comfort that eased pain, cleared breath, and quieted thought. The science was simple but wise. Mint cooled fever and cleared the head. Frankincense helped the breath move easier. Myrrh soothed wounds. Rosemary sharpened memory. Olive oil softened the skin, keeping the desert winds from cracking it. The people may not have known the word we use today, but they understood balance, how the right scent, the right touch, could bring harmony between body and soul. In the evenings, families burned herbs in small bowls beside their doors. The smoke curled upward, sweet and thin, winding into the night air. The scent was a sign of safety, of health, of rest. Travelers passing through the streets would breathe it in and feel comforted, as if the whole city was exhaling peace. The temples, too, were filled with perfume. When priests prayed, they lit resins that filled the air with golden smoke. The scent was thought to rise to the heavens, carrying their prayers upward. Even the gods, they believed, could be soothed by fragrance. The wind that carried the smell of cedar or jasmine was the same wind that moved across the fields and rivers, a reminder that the divine and the human shared the same air. At night, after the lamps dimmed, the healers often prepared mixtures for the next day. They worked by the soft glow of flame, their shadows moving gently on the walls. Bowls of herbs lay open beside them, soft green leaves, bright petals, small seeds like stars. They stirred the oil slowly, humming to themselves, letting the scent fill the room like a lullaby. Outside, the crickets sang, and the city breathed quietly in its sleep. These perfumes were not luxuries. They were kindness in a bottle, a way to heal without words, to comfort without touch. Each drop held a memory of sunlight, rain, and careful hands. Each scent was a small promise that the world was good, that the earth would always provide what the heart needed most. Close your eyes and imagine that fragrance, warm, floral, and calm. The faint sweetness of herbs carried by a slow breeze, the peace of a world that smelled of life and care. Breathe it in, soft and steady. Let it fill you, ease you, hold you. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Night settles softly across the world, just as it did thousands of years ago. The same stars rise over us, one by one, glowing with slow and patient light. The air cools, the noise fades, and for a moment, everything feels still. Only the quiet hum of the universe remains. Somewhere long ago, another person stood in the same silence, looking up at these very stars. Their clothes were different, their world smaller, but their wonder was the same. The sky has always been the great bridge between past and present, between what we know and what we dream. The first stargazers watched the heavens without instruments or theories. They saw movement and pattern, brightness and change. They noticed how some stars never left their place, how others drifted across the night in steady lines. They saw that the moon changed shape, that the planets wandered differently than the stars, and they wondered why. They gave them names, the bright one for love, the red one for war, the faint cluster for gathering souls. The sky became a story, a living book read by eyes alone. When they looked up, they did not just see points of light. They saw guides, protectors, and timekeepers. The stars told them when to plant, when to travel, when the floods would come. Their glow gave comfort in the dark, a quiet reminder that even in the night, there was order, beauty, and light. The heavens were like a great heartbeat, steady and eternal, giving rhythm to life below. Now, thousands of years later, we still look upward. Our tools have changed. We use telescopes, cameras, satellites, but the feeling is the same. We lean back, breathe slowly, and let our eyes adjust to the darkness. We still whisper at the sight of a falling star, still wait for the moon to rise. Science may have given us answers, but it has not taken away the wonder. If anything, it has made it deeper. We know now that each star is a sun, some larger than our own, surrounded by planets we cannot yet see. We know their light travels for millions of years to reach us, so when we look at them, we are looking into the past, at moments that existed long before we did. The light above you right now began its journey before the first cities were built, before the first words were written. You are watching the same sky that guided the ancient travelers, the same one that inspired the first dreamers. There is comfort in that thought. No matter how much changes on Earth, the sky remains constant. The constellations drift, but slowly, like gentle tides of time. The moon still pulls the oceans, the stars still rise and fall, the same patterns repeating across centuries. In their light, everything feels connected. Every story, every breath, every life. Sometimes, in the quiet hours of night, astronomers sit beside glowing screens instead of fires. They listen to the faint hum of machines instead of flutes. Yet when they see a new star, or catch a glimpse of a faraway planet, their hearts still lift with the same calm joy as those first watchers by the river. Science has changed the tools, but not the soul of curiosity. It still feels like dreaming. Imagine lying on your back under the open sky, the ground cool beneath you. The air smells faintly of night and distant rain. Above you, the stars shimmer like countless candles, steady and kind. Somewhere out there, another world spins around another sun, yet the feeling is not of distance, it is of belonging. You are part of the same vast pattern, part of the same quiet story written in light. Close your eyes for a moment and let that thought settle. The same stars that shone over the first farmers, the first poets, the first lovers, shine over you now. They have watched every age of humankind with patient light, and they will keep watching long after we are gone. The sky remembers everything. Breathe slowly. Feel the calm of that infinite space above you. Every heartbeat, every breath, is in rhythm with the turning of the universe. You are small, but not forgotten. You are a spark beneath the same eternal dome that has cradled every dream since time began. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Long ago, before maps and compasses, before anyone had crossed an ocean or climbed high enough to see beyond the horizon, people wondered what the world truly looked like. They stood at the edges of rivers and deserts, staring into the distance where the land met the sky, and asked themselves what lay beyond that soft blue line. The answers they imagined were not made of fear, but of wonder, gentle dreams about the shape of the earth and the heavens that surrounded it. Some believed the world was flat, a great floating plain resting upon the waters of eternity. They said the rivers and seas were not boundaries, but the body of a sleeping God, calm and endless. When the sun rose, it was said to travel across the dome of the sky like a golden boat, lighting the world with its passing. At night, it slipped below the horizon and sailed through the underworld, glowing faintly to guide the souls of the sleeping. Others imagined that the heavens themselves were a great bowl turned upside down, holding the stars like jewels pressed into a ceiling of night. Each star was thought to be a hole in that dark dome, letting the light of heaven shine softly through. The moon, they said, was a silver lantern carried by a spirit across the sky. The world beneath it, their home, was the heart of everything, watched over by gods and stars alike. Near the rivers, where people worked the fields and watched the tides, they noticed how the water curved ever so slightly as it disappeared into the horizon. Some began to wonder if perhaps the earth was not flat at all, but round, like the sun and the moon that moved across the heavens. The idea felt strange, yet beautiful, the thought that the world might be a great sphere floating in an endless sea of stars. They dreamed that the oceans wrapped around it, vast and mysterious, connecting lands that no one had yet seen. The wind that came from faraway shores carried scents of unknown forests and rains. The sky, they believed, was a mirror of the sea, blue by day, deep and infinite by night. Above and below, everything reflected everything else, a perfect circle of balance. Science would one day give answers, drawing the lines and shapes that we now know so well. But even now, there is something tender in those first ideas, in the simple faith that the earth was alive, cared for, and surrounded by meaning. The people looked up at the sky not to measure it, but to feel its calm. They looked out at the horizon not to conquer it, but to imagine what waited beyond. Imagine standing where they once stood, your feet cool against the earth, your face lifted to the stars. The night wind brushes your skin, carrying the scent of water and soil. Above you, the heavens arch wide and still, the stars turning slowly in their quiet dance. You feel small, but in a way that is comforting. The same sky that once stirred their wonder still stays yours. The world, whether flat or round, has always felt like a cradle, a home that turns gently beneath the stars, carrying us through endless time. And even now, as you breathe and listen, you can almost hear that motion, slow, steady, eternal, the rhythm of a world that has always been kind enough to hold you. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Evening settles softly over the valley, and the river begins to glow with the colors of twilight. The day's warmth lingers in the air, blending with the cool breath of water. Along the banks, small lamps are lit one by one, tiny flames floating in clay bowls, their reflection shimmering across the gentle current. The city quiets. Voices fade. Only the river remains awake, whispering its slow song through reeds and stones. Families gather near the water's edge. The air smells faintly of clay, smoke, and sweet grain. Children chase fireflies in the dusk, their laughter carried away by the wind. Mothers sit nearby, washing the last bits of the day's work, the ripples gliding out in perfect circles. Fathers speak in low voices, their tones steady and warm, telling stories of old floods, of stars that guided travelers home. Every sound is soft, the splash of a fish, the hum of an insect, the gentle sigh of the river turning under the moon. The lamps flicker in slow rhythm, moving like stars upon the surface. From a distance, it looks as if the heavens have fallen into the water. Sky above, sky below. The people watch quietly, mesmerized. Some close their eyes, letting the cool wind brush their faces. The world feels balanced, at peace, wrapped in the comfort of night. Nearby, a flute plays a slow tune. The melody drifts through the reeds, bending and fading with the breeze. It mingles with the sound of frogs calling in the shallows and the rustle of tall grass. The song carries no words, yet it speaks of home, of rest, of the quiet joy of being alive. It fills the air like a lullaby meant for the entire earth. The river moves steadily, unhurried, flowing past sleeping boats tied to wooden posts. Their ropes creak softly, swaying with the motion of the current. Somewhere, a torch flickers on a rooftop, and its reflection ripples below. The sky deepens to a velvet blue, the first stars appearing one by one. Their light touches the water, turning each ripple into silver. As night grows deeper, the families begin to leave. The children, now tired, are carried home in gentle arms. The lamps are left floating, their flames steady, guiding the darkness like quiet prayers. The lost voices fade into the distance, leaving only the sound of the river's breathing, a slow, steady rhythm that seems to pulse through the land itself. If you listen closely, you can hear how perfectly the world fits together, the hum of crickets, the brush of reeds, the sigh of wind, the soft splash of water against stone. It is a song older than language, one that never truly ends. It tells you that night is not emptiness. It is rest, a time for the earth to breathe. Above, the stars shimmer faintly, their reflections flickering below. Between them, the river glides on, timeless and calm. The people sleep now, their dreams flowing like the current, slow and kind. The air is cool, the lamps still glow, and the hum of the night carries every sound away, wrapping it in stillness. Close your eyes and imagine you are there, lying by the river, the wind touching your skin, the smell of water and firelight drifting together. The world hums softly around you, full of peace. Nothing is rushing, nothing is loud, only the calm sound of night, carrying you gently toward sleep. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep in the quiet of ancient nights, when the stars shimmered like scattered embers across the sky. People told stories to help their dreams find shape. The world was full of mystery then, too vast to understand, too beautiful not to imagine. And so they spoke softly beside their fires, voices mingling with the wind, telling the old myths that made sense of light and dark, water and sky, beginnings and ends. One of their oldest stories spoke of flood, a great wave that once covered the earth. They said it came not in anger, but as a cleansing breath from the heavens. For many days, rain fell without pause. The rivers rose, the fields disappeared, and only the tops of mountains touched the sky. But the water did not destroy, it renewed. When the flood at last began to fade, the land awoke green and clean, the air fresh and alive again. It was a reminder that even when the world drowns in sorrow, life always returns, soft and patient, with the first dawn. Another story told of the stars, tiny fires placed in the sky by gentle hands. The people believed that each soul, when it left the earth, became a point of light above. The night sky, they said, was a gathering of all who had ever loved and dreamed. When they looked upward, they did not feel alone. Each flicker of light was a memory, a voice, a heartbeat shining across eternity. The stars were not distant, they were home. And there was a tale of the hero who brought light to the world. In the beginning, they said, the earth was wrapped in darkness. The people lived by the glow of fireflies and the soft reflection of rivers. One brave soul, seeing how fear had crept into every heart, decided to climb beyond the edge of the world. Through mountains and storms, through the endless silence of night, he journeyed upward until he reached the place where the sky sleeps. There, he found a single spark hidden in the palm of creation. He carried it back to the earth in both hands, guarding it with his breath. When he opened his palms, the sun was born, bright, golden, eternal. These stories were not told to explain, but to comfort. They were gentle reminders that light always finds its way home, that the sky remembers every soul, that water renews what it touches. They were spoken slowly, each word flowing like the river, each image resting softly in the heart. Children would fall asleep to the rhythm of those tales. The flicker of firelight car shadows that danced like spirits across the walls. The storytellers spoke in calm tones, their voices blending with the chirping of night insects and the sigh of wind. The world outside faded, and in its place came dream. A dream of stars that could sing, of rivers that forgave, of heroes who carried the sun so that others could sleep in warmth. Now, when you look up at the sky or listen to rain, you are hearing the same old language. The stories have changed their words, but their music remains. The flood still cleanses. The stars still guide. The light still returns. Everything in the universe moves to that same rhythm of loss and renewal, night and dawn, silence and song. Close your eyes and let those myths drift through you, not as history, but as calm. Feel the light returning, the stars above watching, the river below whispering that the world is safe again. The stories are still here, keeping you company as they once did for the first dreamers. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Time does not rush, it flows. Like the slow rivers that shaped the first valleys, it moves quietly across the ages, carrying with the memories of all that came before. Civilizations rise, cities shimmer beneath the sun, and then, softly, they fade, not in anger, not in noise, but in peace, as all living things eventually do. The earth does not mourn them. It simply listens, remembering. Centuries pass like gentle tides. What once were busy streets become quiet fields again. Walls crumble, dust gathers, and from that dust, new seed begin to grow. The cycle continues, creation, bloom, rest, renewal. The people of each era look upon the world as if it were new, never realizing that beneath their feet lie layers of forgotten dreams. In the ancient cities, the sound of markets and music once filled the air. Voices rose in song and laughter, and fires burned bright in the courtyards. But the seasons turned, the rivers changed course, and the winds brought sand from distant lands. Slowly, the noise of life became the hush of memory. The clay tablets slept beneath the soil. The statues weathered and softened. The great ziggurats, once reaching for the sky, became gentle hills touched by grass and rain. Yet nothing was truly lost. Every stone held a trace of warmth. Every broken wall remembered the sound of footsteps. The earth keeps everything, every story, every voice, every breath, folded deep within it. Like a dream that fades upon waking but still lingers in feeling, history remains alive in the quiet. New generations built where the old had stood, unaware the lives once lived beneath them. They planted fields over forgotten courtyards, carved new roads above ancient ruins. And though they spoke different languages and carried different hopes, they shared the same gentle truth, that all things change, but nothing ever truly disappears. Time transforms rather than erases. The rivers still flowed, whispering the same lullaby to each passing age. The stars above watched with patient light. The same constellations that guided the first farmers now shone above new empires, new dreamers, new hearts. It was all one long rhythm, the rise and fall, the ebb and flow, the endless breathing of the world. Science calls this history, but to the earth it is simply life. The mountains remember being seas. The deserts remember being rivers. The wind carries voices across centuries, so softly that only the quietest hearts can hear. The passing of time is not cruel, it is kind. It allows everything to rest, to become part of something larger, to give way for what comes next. Imagine standing now at the edge of a great ruin, the sun setting behind it. The air is warm, the stones cool under your fingers. You can almost hear the echoes, the sound of flutes, the murmur of trade, the laughter of children chasing one another across the dust. The city may be gone, but its heartbeat lingers in the air. It hums through the ground beneath you, faint but steady, like the rhythm of the world itself. The centuries flow together like water, each one touching the next. What was once the beginning becomes the end, and the end becomes the beginning again. Just as the rivers feed the sea, and the sea feeds the clouds, so too do memories rise and return, forming new rains, new life, new dreams. Perhaps time is not a line, but a circle, gentle, endless, alive. Every sunrise has already been seen, and every sunset will come again. The people before us felt the same wind, watched the same stars, stood in awe of the same silence. In that sense, we are never far from them. We are simply part of the same great current, flowing onward, carrying our stories with care. Close your eyes and picture that current. Feel it moving beneath you, soft, eternal, calm. The moments of your life are part of it too, drifting forward, blending with all the moments that ever were. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is gone. Everything becomes part of the river that never stops flowing. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. Beneath the golden sands, where the sun bakes the earth in silence, the past sleeps, not gone, not lost, only waiting. For thousands of years, the world has turned above it. Storms have come and passed, rivers have changed their course, and empires have risen and faded into dust. Yet still, deep under the surface, the quiet echoes of that first civilization remain. Fragments of clay, glimmers of stone, the faint memory of a life once warm and full of breath. Today, the wind carries the same scent it once did, dry and sweet, filled with dust and time. Archaeologists walk across the same ground where farmers once sowed seeds, where builders once lifted bricks of mud and sun. They kneel, brushing away grains of sand, searching not for gold or treasure, but for stories. Each discovery, no matter how small, feels like touching the heartbeat of another time. A shard of pottery, a cracked tablet, a broken seal. Each is a whisper that says, "We were here." The work is slow, careful, and almost sacred. The air hums softly with heat. Brushes sweep dust from carved lines that have not seen light in thousands of years. The marks are faint, yet clear, words pressed by hands long turned to dust. For a moment, the past opens its eyes again. The archaeologists pause, as if not to disturb it. They know they are not simply uncovering objects, but waking memories. A wall emerges, the corner of a home, perhaps, or a market. A mosaic glints faintly in the light, its colors softened but still alive. In that moment, the boundary between then and now seems to fade. The people who once walked here do not feel distant anymore. You can almost imagine them. Voices rising in the morning, the sound of sandals on stone, the laughter of children running to the river. The world breathes again. Sometimes, as they wake, the archaeologists find a simple thing that carries more emotion than any grand monument. A tiny cup shaped for a child's hand, a clay tablet with a few uneven lines of writing, the imprint of a palm left in drying mud. These are the moments that bring silence to the sight. Time folds gently inward. Across thousands of years, two human lives, one ancient, one modern, touch for just an instant. Science records the details, the depth of the layer, the carbon age, the composition of the soil. But there are things even science cannot fully measure: the warmth that lingers in a handmade bowl, the tenderness of a line carved by someone who once watched the same moon we do. What archaeology truly reveals is not just history, but connection. The past is not far away. It lives quietly beneath our feet, waiting for us to remember. As the sun sets over the dig site, the desert cools. The colors shift from gold to rose, then to gray. The team gathers their tools, their voices soft in the fading light. They cover the site with care, protecting what remains for tomorrow. The air grows still. The horizon glows faintly, and for a moment, the land feels both ancient and new. It is easy to believe that the earth itself is alive, whispering to those who listen. Later, in quiet rooms filled with light, the archaeologists study what they found. The fragments are cleaned, labeled, and arranged. On the table lie pieces of the first civilization, bits of pottery painted with steady hands, tablets filled with symbols that once carried words of love, trade, and prayer. Some of the writing tells of harvest, others of rain, others of dreams. Together, they form a language of humanity itself, calm, fragile, and eternal. Outside, modern cities hum with movement and light. Cars pass, screens glow, voices fill the air. Yet even here, under concrete and steel, the earth still holds its memory. Deep below, the same layers of time remain. And if you listen closely, between the sounds of now, you might almost hear them. The whisper of wind through reeds, the low hum of river water, the steady beat of a world that never truly ended. The more we uncover, the more we realize how alike we are to those who came before. They too watched the stars and wondered. They too built homes, raised children, shared food, sang songs. Their hopes, their fears, their small joys all still echo in us. Time has changed the tools, the languages, the cities, but not the heart. We are the continuation of their dream. Imagine standing at one of those sites at night. The sand is cool beneath your feet, the sky above filled with the same quiet stars that once guided ancient travelers. The wind moves softly, brushing across the dunes, carrying the scent of age and distance. Somewhere beneath you lies the outline of an old street, a temple wall, a buried lamp. You close your eyes and feel it, the faint pulse of everything that has ever lived, still humming beneath the surface. In that stillness, you understand what time really is, not a straight line, but a circle of returning light. The past does not dissipate. It becomes a foundation upon which the present stands. And the present, too, will one day sink gently into memory, joining the quiet chorus beneath the sand. Close your eyes now and imagine the soft rustle of the desert wind, the distant shimmer of stars, the gentle breathing of the earth beneath you. Feel how calm it is, how steady, how endless. The past is not gone. It is only sleeping, waiting for you to listen. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep. The night deepens, and the stars above seem to draw a little closer, as if they have been listening too. The world is quiet now, the river still, the sands resting, the wind soft as breath. The story of the first civilization, the one we have wandered through together, begins to fold gently back into silence. But it does not vanish. It lingers, glowing faintly beneath your thoughts, like embers in the dark. You have walked through their valleys and stewed by their rivers. You have heard the soft sounds of harvest, the laughter in clay houses, the songs played under firelight. You have seen the temples rising through morning mist, and the lamps glowing beside the calm waters of Babylon. Every moment, every whisper, every heartbeat of the ancient world still hums softly within the earth and within you. Tonight, as you lie here, breathing slowly, it feels almost as if the centuries have disappeared. The ground beneath you is the same ground that carried them. The air you breathe is the same air that once moved through their fields and their cities. The stars that shine above you are the same lights they look to for comfort and direction. In this stillness, time no longer separates. It joins. You are both the dreamer and the dream continued. Close your eye for a moment. Listen to your own breathing, slow, steady, gentle. It is the same rhythm that once filled the quiet rooms of their homes. Each breath is like the turning of the earth, patient and sure. The rise and fall of your chest is a tide of time itself, constant, unbroken, peaceful. Somewhere far across the desert, the ruins of those ancient cities still stand. The moonlight drapes them in silver, and the wind moves softly through their empty doorways. Grains of sand whisper against old stone. What remains is not sadness, but calm, the quiet beauty of endurance. Civilization may fade, but its spirit never leaves. It drifts through time like music carried on a breeze, finding new hearts to echo in. You can imagine standing there, among the shadows of old walls, the scent of dust and stone around you. The stars above shimmer endlessly, reflected in your eyes. You feel the warmth of the world still pulsing beneath your feet, the heartbeat of ages that have passed yet never truly gone. Every ruin, every broken tablet, every story lost to wind and sand is still alive in the memory of the universe. Nothing ends. Everything changes form. They dreamed of the stars, and now you dream under them. They built homes from clay, and you build yours from memory. They carved words into earth, and you carry theirs in your heart. Time may have carried them away, but not their voice. It hums still, soft, kind, eternal, reminding you that you are part of something vast and beautiful. The stars above do not hurry. They watch quietly, glowing with patient light. They have seen every story unfold, every life rise and fall. And tonight, they look down upon you too, the traveler who has followed the gentle trail back through time. You have walked through creation, through love, through silence and song. You have seen the rivers meet, the temples rise, the cities breathe, and the sands reclaim their secrets. And now, as the journey slows, the stars seem to whisper their thanks for remembering. Let your body rest. Let the weight of the day fall away. Feel how the air moves softly around you, how your heart beats slower, how your thoughts begin to float like dust caught in warm light. You have returned home, Not to a place, but to a feeling, the same peace that once filled the ancient world when people slept beside their fires, the sound of the river outside their doors, the hum of the wind through reeds. Breathe in, slowly. The air is cool and gentle, like the first morning breeze after rain. Breathe out, let go. The world softens. The noise fades. The stars glow quietly above you. The dream does not end here. It continues, as all dreams do, flowing forward through you, through time, through every quiet heart that still wonders about the beginning of things. Somewhere, perhaps far away, another listener closes their eyes to the same story. Somewhere, another traveler dreams of the same rivers, the same fields, the same endless sky. The first civilization may have fallen silent, but its lullaby remains, the whisper of clay, the rhythm of harvest, the shimmer of stars reflected in the water. It is a song of peace, a song of continuity, one that moves through the ages like a calm tide. Tonight, it reaches you, wrapping you in the same comfort it once gave to them. And now, as you lie still beneath the night, the stars watching gently above, imagine that you are part of the story too. Your breath another verse, your heartbeat another drum, your dreams another temple built softly in time. The past holds you, the present cradles you, and the future waits, quiet and kind. You are safe. You are calm. You are part of the endless dream. The wind moves softly outside your window, like the echo of that ancient river. The darkness folds around you like the walls of a sleeping city. The stars blink slowly, patient and eternal, keeping watch over all who dream. Now, close your eyes completely. Feel your body sink into stillness. Let your thoughts drift away like dust carried by the desert wind. The story is complete, but its peace remains. The night is long, the earth is kind, and the sky above you glows with the same quiet promise it always has. Now, let yourself drift deeper into rest and sleep.